For today's video, we're going to go over order of operations. And order of operations simply states what is the first mathematical operation that we do when we encounter a problem, and then what is the next mathematical operation that we do, so on and so forth. So as mathematicians, we've defined an order to these operations, whether we do addition first, subtraction first, multiplication, division. What comes first? And one of the things we've defined is an acronym called PEMDAS. I'm going to write it out here. So it's P-E-M-D, and then A and S down at the bottom. Okay. And this is an acronym that we use to remember the order in which we do things. And so the P stands for parentheses, brackets, or braces. And these basically are any grouping symbols. So for example, parentheses, or braces, or brackets, which look kind of like this. And they tend to group terms together. We'll see that in an example in a moment. The E stands for exponents. And I think that's fairly straightforward. Whoops. There we go. Exponents. So if we see any exponents in our problem, we'll do those after we do parentheses. And then after that, we have the M and the D, which stand for multiplication and division. And with multiplication and division, we do this from left to right. So we have multiplication, division, from left to right. Okay, so that means whichever one comes first from the left, we'll do that first. So if multiplication is on the left first, then we do that. If division is on the left first, then we'll do that first. And then we'll proceed to do any other multiplication division in our problem. And the same thing can be said for the A and the S, which stand for addition and subtraction. And so these, addition and subtraction, are also taken from left to right. And so now that we've talked briefly about PEMDAS, let's actually go ahead and see some examples, because I think it makes a lot more sense when we have examples. I have two examples I'm going to show you in this video, and then in the next video we'll have even more. But for the two examples we have here, let's go ahead and start with this problem. We have 2 plus 4 times 3 plus 3 squared minus 7. And so when I do these problems, I like to write PEMDAS just somewhere on my sheet of paper. It's just as a way for me to remember what we're doing. And so which ones I've already done, which ones I still need to do, and so that way I can keep track of how I'm going to solve this problem. So the first thing we'll deal with is the P. Do we have any parentheses, brackets, or braces? In this case we don't, so we can mark that off. The next one is the exponents, so E. In this case, we have 3 squared, which will be 9. So I'm going to rewrite my problem now as 2 plus 4 times 3 plus 3 squared now is 9, and then minus the 7. And so that takes care of the exponents. Okay. The next one is multiplication. And so I see that we have 4 times 3, which is multiplication. I don't see any division, but if I saw division, I would note it. I would deal with it afterwards because multiplication comes first, but in this case we only have the multiplication. So I'm going to have 2. 4 times 3 is 12, so we're going to do 2 plus 12 plus 9 minus 7. And so since we did our multiplication, we don't have any division. We're done there. And so now we need to work on our addition and subtraction. In this case, we're going to go from left to right. I see 2 addition problems, 2 plus 12, and then that number plus 9. And then subtracting 7 at the end. So we'll just do this in order since they're already from left to right. 2 plus 12 is 14. 14 plus 9 is 23. So we're going to have 23 minus 7. And then 23 minus 7 is 16. And that's our answer. Okay, we'll do one more problem, which will be a bit more complicated. And then that'll be it for this video. The next problem we'll do, and the last problem, is 3 plus 5. All of this in a brace squared. Minus, and this will also be in a brace, 8 minus 4 divided by 2 cubed. Okay, so again, I'm gonna write PEMDAS down on the far right side, so PEMDAS. That way I just remember what I'm doing. And so in this case, we start off with P, which are the brackets. So that means we need to do, or parentheses, the brackets, the braces. We need to do what's inside these groups first. So I'm going to mark them out. We're going to have 3 plus 5 and 8 minus 4 divided by 2. It doesn't matter which one you do first since they're separated. But on the inside, I'm going to start with 3 plus 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. And then this whole number is going to be squared. And then on the other side, I have 8 minus 4 divided by 2. Now in this case, since I have subtraction and division, I need to follow the rest of PEMDAS in this little problem here, 8 minus 4 divided by 2. So that means we can't do the subtraction first. We can't do 8 minus 4. Instead, we need to do 4 divided by 2 first. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. And so I'm going to have 8 minus 2 cubed. I'm going to do this a little bit haphazardly. 8 minus 2 then is now 6. And so I'm going to have 6 cubed. Right. That takes care of the braces. And the parentheses and the brackets. I always call them braces. It's stuck with me. But it is parentheses. Next one is exponents. So in this case, I have 2 different exponents. I have the 8 squared and 6 cubed. In this case, 8 squared is 64. And 6 cubed is 6 times 6 is 36. 36 times 6 is 216. And so that takes care of the exponents. Looking at the rest of my problem, I now have 64 minus 216. I don't see any multiplication, I don't see any addition, and I don't see any division. So now all that's left is just subtraction. And so 64 minus 216, we can do a little bit of shorthand here. It will come out to be a negative number, so 216 minus 64. We're going to get 6 minus 4 is 2. Carry the 1, we get 11. 11 minus 6 is 5. Bring the 1 down. We are going to end up with negative 152, since there are more negatives than positives. And so that concludes the 2 examples we have in this video. There will be more in the next video, but for right now, that is it.